Hello, everybody. Okay, wow, I was hearing like a big delay there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I don't know, like the screen disappeared, but I was still hearing the music. Oh, you know what? Hold on, 1 second. 1 second. I forgot to mute. There you go. Okay, so I forgot to mute something, so I kept hearing like an echo. Okay, so my bad. That's my bad. How's it going, everybody? This is Mike or BTech Mike, and we got Tito, aka Aloha Android, in the house. What's up?
Yeah, I'm actually excited because I've been wanting to do something like this for a long time. So I'm just ready to get started on our very first one.
Correct. So yes, this is going to actually be our first, I guess, collab podcast when it comes to wrestling talk and just talking about wrestling in general, right? And our first podcast is going to be called the Road to WrestleMania Predictions Live because we are live now. Of course, we don't have our webcams on right now because I want to make sure that everything looks and sounds good. And one of these days we'll get our pretty faces on here. But for now, we're going to keep it like this. And we do want to announce also that we are putting together a new channel, which I am kind of simulcasting on right now. So right now, anyone that's watching this, you can see us on our respective channels. Well, at least mine. I don't know if Tito ended up using his channel. Did you or no?
No, I didn't.
No, okay, so not for today's live stream. That's okay. So the channel, and I need to actually change it in the did I even change the the podcast name? Yeah, I did. Making sure I'm like, did I even change the name of the title here? So it's because Restream it'll keep the name of your last it'll keep the name of your last stream.
I noticed that about it, so it's just weird.
Sometimes like I'll live stream and whatnot. But anyways, let's go ahead and turn on live chat here. I know we have Blaze in the house. What's going on, Blaze? Hopefully you're doing good. Let's go ahead and turn that on really quick. And we'll go ahead and fix this. All right. I guess that'll do for now. We don't have our cameras turned on right now. Anyways.
Yeah.
So yeah, the new podcast is going to be called the Scorpion Deathlock Podcast, actually. So and I'm going to probably share up the channel link. And again, I totally forgot to put it in the description of this video, but I'll go ahead and post it up right now so that you guys can check that out. Just give me 1 second here. And so you guys can subscribe to that channel, and you guys can subscribe to us if you guys are into wrestling, of course, right? Not saying you have to, but if you guys are into wrestling and you guys want to talk, want to hear about wrestling, we'll go ahead and do that for you guys. So I'll go ahead and post that up for y'all. But yeah, so I mean, tonight was the go away home for WrestleMania, the last SmackDown pre WrestleMania. Definitely a lot going on, but the main part was Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns doing a face-off towards the end of the show, which I think that's going to be the most anticipated match of the two nights. But it's a stacked card, and again, this is a prediction. So Tito, what are your thoughts, and what matches are you excited about going into WrestleMania?
So the ones that I'm more interested in, obviously, is Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and the Usos. There's so much rumors and so many people that think that Jey Uso is picking that moment to turn on the bloodline. And I don't know, because in the weeks leading up to that match, right? So, I mean, you had Jey Uso attack Sami Zayn after like weeks of silence and separation from the bloodline. And then he's like pitching the same thing that Jimmy was saying to Sami Zayn when they would confront each other.
Yeah.
But the thing that catches me off guard is when Sami Zayn wrestled Roman Reigns for the title. Before things got way out of hand, Jey rolled himself into the ring and stood in front of Roman, stopping the chair shot.
Yep. Yes. Yeah, there was a little bit of trolling, especially post Royal Rumble, like you said, and my thing about that is I was at the Rumble in San Antonio, guys, by the way. So it was a big shocker for me to kind of see that, because I had it in my head that I was like, oh my God, like Jay's gonna do it. He's gonna hit Sami in the face. Like he's been wanting to do this, from the beginning, and to see him just kind of shake his head in disappointment and just get out of the ring and walk away was kind of like an eye opener. And an extension to the story, because I was like, they could have just ended it right then and there. They could have just gave Sami and KO, a beatdown in San Antonio at the Rumble. And to my surprise, watching this live in person, right, my first premium live event or pay-per-view, whatever you want to call it, he walks out and the crowd's freaking out. They're like, "What is happening?" You know what I mean? Again, this match will be night one of WrestleMania, so that's definitely something that I'm looking forward to as well. I a lot of people are also complaining, and I don't know if you heard about this or have an opinion on this, but a lot of people were complaining that this was not the main event of night one, and that Charlotte and Rhea Ripley are going to be the main event for night one. What are your thoughts on that?
So I mean, I kind of understand why they would do that. I mean, when you have Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes as the main event of night two, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I guess they want to be equal on each side, give the women's division the spotlight and having a main event. So to me, I don't mind at all. I think it works because it allows showcasing at the event of WWE. Like WrestleMania is it for every year. I think it's a good move. Mm-hmm. I just hope that they don't put any extra stock in it. You know what I mean? like any agendas behind it, and just for the fact that it's purely just to give the women's division a main event spot at a WrestleMania show.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I think, it's going to be kind of a norm if going forward that we're seeing a female main event either in night one or night two. I think that's going to be kind of the norm. I can see why people were upset about it, right? Because, pretty much the whole bloodline thing is the biggest story of the last year, basically, including Sami Zayn, right? So I can see why people are a little upset about that, but, you kind of have to look at, the other talents that are working extremely hard, weekly and day in and day out doing their jobs, right? They can't always put, people in the main event card, right? Unfortunately. So yeah, definitely, I'm looking forward to that. Let's see. Guys. And again, we are, Tito is posting saying, share this and let's get more peeps going. Right. As far as that goes, if you guys are joining in, right. Again, I know I know I'm pretty horrible when it comes to announcing that I'm going to go live. I just go live sometimes randomly, and I don't announce it on my social medias. I know I need to get better, but anyways, let's talk about the rest of the card here, I guess. So we can continue to I guess talk about predictions. So again, the header of night one is going to be John Cena versus Austin Theory, and definitely, I know this is a match that probably I know Theory wanted. It's not a match that I really care that Cena's in, to be honest, because I don't care for Austin Theory as a character himself. But I have seen his development and growth since his NXT days, right? He has jumped back and forth between NXT and the main roster over the last couple of years, right? If you don't remember, he was in Seth Rollins' little Messiah group, I guess you want to call it, right? He was one of his proteges, so to speak, and that really didn't work out. That lasted about a few minutes, and then they ended up kicking him back to the to the developmental, which understandable, right? And then of course he came back, right? He's been doing his thing for the past year and a half, and a lot of people have not liked him, right? The whole selfie gimmick at first, a lot of people thought he was ripping off. A lot of people thought he was ripping off Tyler Breeze, right? If anyone remembers who Tyler Breeze is, right?
Yeah, I remember Tyler Breeze.
Tyler Breeze was another, NXT OG, and he was probably one of the best talents that I thought came out of that class of NXT, partners. But at the end of the day, Austin Theory is still on TV, and Tyler Breeze isn't. So. It is what it is, I guess. Let's see what Blaze says. Blaze says, don't really watch wrestling. I'm more of a UFC and boxing guy, but I'm here to support the podcast. So I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you being here and supporting the podcast.
That's solid, man. Appreciate you, Blaze. Yes, I know Sneed is live right now, so that's probably why the view count is low just at this moment.
Yeah. and that's okay. People can watch the replay. Again, we're just trying to get it out there. I know, again, Tito was sharing this on his Twitter and his social medias, and I'll be doing the same. But anyways, again, going back to the Cena and, Austin Theory thing, I've appreciated watching Austin Theory grow as a talent, right? Going from, he's been kind of heel baby facious, but now, he kind of turned more back into a heel recently, obviously, with the attitude change after losing his Money in the Bank, briefcase. He was like, I was never gonna win this, so he cashed in, and you know what, it kind of paid off because it kind of, it put more eyes on him because yes, he couldn't really put himself in the main title picture because again, Roman Reigns and his legendary 960 some day reign already. But
that's overkill.
It's overkill. For some people, it's overkill. For some people, it's like, hey, like, kids in this generation, they're going to remember Roman Reigns as the guy, just like, when we were young and, we had guys like, Stone Cold, The Rock, even guys like Hulk Hogan, WCW era, guys like Kevin Nash, people like that, right? People that, they put the strap on Goldberg, for instance, right? Even though, people might have a different opinion on Goldberg now than they did back then, right? But, at the end of the day, they're kind of putting more eyes and exposure, and we're seeing it, right? I was a huge Stone Cold fan before he even won the World Heavyweight title. This is when he was feuding with, Rocky Maivia or The Rock, right? For the IC strap. That was classic feuds, right? And I'm kind of glad that they're not kind of just pushing them forward like to the main title picture on guys like Brock Lesnar or there's just some people that they don't have to win mid card titles, or they don't have to I guess scratch their way to the top to kind of be relevant, right? And again, we know he's one of Vince's guys, as far as who he wants in on TV, and it pretty much basically saying that he's going to be a future face in the company within the next 5 years. I can already tell you that. Like, I mean, who knows? We can maybe see the world title on him, in a few years already, right?
I see that.
But and I can see also the guy's got a good look. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Austin Theory. So he's just. And every time I go live, something happens and the ghetto bird comes out, so don't mind the helicopter.
He is streaming outside.
It always happens. But Austin Theory, like to me, so like I like his character. I think it needs to be developed a little bit more. Get away from that gimmicky selfie thing, because I mean, to me, when I first saw that, I instantly thought Zack Ryder and the vlogging champ. And so I'm just like, no. If he wants to be taken seriously, then, right now where he's at, United States champion, that's fine. Like, I don't want them to like try to like push him down our throats like they kind of did with Roman Reigns in the beginning.
Yeah.
I really want to see him just like get some matches, get some wins over superstars that give credibility to his his technique, his skill, him as as a performer, and then he can go up and go for big titles, big names. But I don't know about you, but I have this feeling that he's gonna beat John Cena. I don't know why. I just feel like that John's gonna put him over.
I mean, I think so because John has a very bad, I wouldn't say bad habit, but a lot of people seem to think that he buries a lot of talent, right? Considering the fact that he really hasn't wrestled full time in like the last 3 or 4 years already, right? He's been making movies, TV shows. He's becoming a star on his own, just like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and I can appreciate that, right? And he's getting older. John's already getting closer to the 50 mark. I think he's already in his mid 40s already.
Yeah, he's in his mid 40s.
He's in his mid late 40s already, and the guy's still in great shape. I'm pretty sure if he wanted to, he could wrestle full time. But definitely, I know, the company and the job takes a toll on the body, and if he can get out and find other ways to make money, kudos to him, right? But yeah, I think it'll be a solid match. I don't know. I mean, if John Cena does miraculously come out as the victor, right? I don't know what they're gonna do to transition him. Because he's not going to be working full time, right? So I don't think it makes any sense for WWE to put the strap on him, right? At least again, but again, unless he loses it the next night, the only scenario I could see happening is Cena wins, for him winning, and then he goes to Monday Night Raw. He does his open challenge like he always does, and then you see a guy like Zack Ryder, aka Matt Cardona, who a lot of people online have been saying that his return is very imminent now that his girlfriend is back in the company, or his wife, excuse me, his wife is in the company.
Yeah.
Chelsea Green, to those who don't know who that is, she's the Karen that's been coming out on Monday Night Raw, complaining to the Raw general manager. So I could see that happening, and the reason, Matt Cardona, or AKA Zack Ryder, I don't know who if he decides to return, or if they're going to return, is going to use his old ring name, or if they're going to let him be him, like he has been on the indie scenes, killing it, right, winning the NWA title, winning multiple championships, across the board as far as in the indie scene goes, right. And going from there, right, and then of course maybe him starting a feud with, again, Austin Theory post WrestleMania. That would be interesting.
Yeah, that would. I would, like I said, like there's a lot to build on.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's like
Mm-hmm.
development wise, like Austin Theory is one of the guys that like I pick, that I see, future championships, better storylines, better feuds. Obviously going to get a push with the company. He is one of the guys.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but who knows? Because I thought Drew McIntyre back then was going to be big. He left for a while, but he came back, and now he's in a position where, he's like on top ranks. So it's a strong possibility.
And the thing is, like, guys like Drew, we know his story, right? The guy, has been in and out of the business, right? He started very young, and a lot of these guys are young. Austin Theory, again, I think he's not. He might be barely 25 years old, if I'm not correct on that. I don't know the guy's actual age, but he was one of the youngest United States champions, if not the youngest. I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on that, right? But again, we're just gonna have to see, right? And again, like Tito was saying, like, let's just hope that they don't, decide to just continue, like, push him down our throats. I think that's what they did wrong with Roman Reigns.
Yep.
After the Shield broke up, I think. And that's because he was already over. Everyone already liked him. You know what I mean? And that's what people don't understand, like what a natural push is, right? Guys like Sami Zayn, for instance, right, who blew up over the past year.
Yeah.
And he did it on his own accord. He made the story interesting. Again, it led up to the Elimination Chamber match versus him and Roman Reigns, and again, it was an amazing story. Even though he lost, you know what I mean? It was an amazing story, and I enjoyed watching the feud. And the match wasn't like a 5-star thriller match. It was a decent match. And right now he's still kind of in that main event picture with the tag titles now. So.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Yeah, so that's, I going to that card itself, going to John Cena. I really think that it's just more logical to have Austin Theory win, but I agree with what you said. If they, for any reason, and this could be a way that how they shift the momentum and put the strap on somebody else that they kind of have some heat behind to build up. This would be a way to do it. Would be for Austin to lose to Cena, because then it really wouldn't damage Theory's loss. John Cena being top of the game for so many years, he would lose in some people's eyes, and then John loses the belt to somebody that they want to put the strap on and stand behind and push. That's how I feel like they would do it if it went that way.
And it wouldn't be the first time something like this happened either, right? Like, so, like, I don't, again, like, just before we move on to the next match, right? I don't know if you remember the year that Zack Ryder won the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania. And again, it was a few years back. I want to say like WrestleMania 32 or 33. He wins the IC title in a ladder match, and then the following days, just to have him lose on Monday Night Raw against The Miz, right? And not anything against The Miz, right? The Miz is a very keen guy to the company, and I think he's very underrated as far as his mic skills. Not the best wrestler, obviously. Not I don't think anyone says, "Oh, that was an awesome Miz match." You know what I mean? But he's a guy that knows how to get under people's skin, and he knows how to piss people off. And
I feel bad for him. What happened to him in the past? I don't know if you ever heard the story where he talked about his incident with the locker room.
No, I mean, if you want to go ahead and mention it, that's fine.
So, like, I was watching an interview with The Miz, and he talked about the reason that he has such a high level respect for The Undertaker. when he first came into WWE, he was getting to know the guys in the locker room. And like one day he's in the locker room, he's eating fried chicken, and the chicken juice spilt on another wrestler's bag and clothes. And so a lot of the guys in the locker room already didn't like him, because he came from that reality show, The Real World. And so they were already giving him crap back there. And they literally like kicked him out of the locker room. They were like, you can't change in here anymore.
Wow.
So like for years, not for years, but like for a year, he had to change in the hallways at stadiums, or he had to change in the public bathrooms.
Oh, wow.
And, he said that it was weird because one time he went to go take a crap, and a father and his son, the son recognized the Miz went in that bathroom. So they were standing in the bathroom waiting for him to come out to get an autograph. And he's like, dude, like, I need to drop a load. Like, leave me alone. So eventually he had a one-on-one conversation with The Undertaker after, I forgot what match he said it was, but there was one match he had, and Taker kind of started to get, to give some respect to him. And when they had a conversation, it was Undertaker who went to the locker room that said, hey, this guy's all right. He's back in because I said so. And The Undertaker's like the general back there. What he says goes with the locker room. So that was pretty cool to Taker to do that. But I felt sorry for the Miz having to change in public view just to get ring gear on.
Oh, yeah. No, definitely. Oh, and just to kind of side crap a little bit, the Hall of Fame is live right now, guys. And Stacy Keibler just entered the ring in a beautiful kind of like a bluish gown. Definitely she's still got those long legs is all I'm going to say, guys. She's got the long legs. She's still.
Is her husband there? Is she still married to George Clooney, or did they divorce?
I'm not sure. I don't know if she was. I didn't even know they were married, if I could be 100% frank. I knew they dated back then. I never knew they got married though. If they got married, but Tori Wilson was the one inducting her into the Hall of Fame. So if you guys are watching the,
nice.
I'm going to rewatch the ceremony after we get off the live stream here. But first time, so it's congrats to Stacy Keibler and being inducted. It was a long time coming, to be honest, because she's been gone a long time. So for her to be inducted,
we've never really got any cameos from her, huh?
Yeah, no, not really. We really haven't seen anything from her since she left, basically. Not even like, a female Rumble appearance or anything like that. So maybe going forward, we might see that. She looks like she's in great shape, by the way. I mean, just like Tori Wilson, this generation of, or at least that generation of women, they know how to keep it tight, if you guys know what I mean. Keeping things
I was
tight,
surprised when I saw Trish Stratus. I was like, after having a couple of kids and kind of living the married life and doing her side thing, like I didn't expect when she came back.
she was in amazing shape, man. To be honest, she looks like she's in better shape now than when she was an active wrestler. So that's saying something. Yeah.
So I'm like, is there a strong possibility, since Lita and Becky Lynch are the women's tag team champions, you think they're gonna push Trish if like the reaction here, actually tomorrow, if she gets a good enough pop, you think they're gonna push her to challenge for the title of either Raw or SmackDown?
I'm not sure if I could be 100% honest. Wait, so you're saying like if Trish turns on like Lita or somebody, is that what you're saying?
No, not if she turns on them. Just like if there's like, because I mean there was already a pop when she showed up to back Becky Lynch and Lita, right? And she's the only one of the trio without a strap. And
correct.
It's kind of reaching, but I don't know. I don't think she'll win, but I think they might push her for like a title shot.
Yeah, well, again, that could be a possibility. A lot of I've been kind of, again, a lot of dirt sheets are saying that she might actually turn on again Becky Lynch and Lita, and that would be a little bit shocking if that does happen. I wouldn't, but it is what it is. I don't think it would happen just because her and like Lita are best friends in real life. But as far as her getting like a title shot, it would be interesting that. I mean, she's came back before and she wrestled against Charlotte Flair when she was, I believe, champion at the time. She put Charlotte Flair over. She lost the match. It was good. It was a good match. You can tell there was a little bit of ring rust there, but at the same time, again, it would be amazing to see her. I think the plan for her a while back was actually for her to come back. But I guess they just didn't they couldn't figure out or fit her into the the story. And if you guys look at it now, like the female roster is stacked, guys. I think they have a very good amount of female talent, and I don't know if it would be taken away bringing a star like Trish back. So that would be an interesting story, though.
Yeah, it would be. I mean, personally, if they start building up some sort of storyline, I don't know if I'd want her to feud with Rhea Ripley.
Yeah. Oh
But it
yeah.
would be weird to see her feud with Asuka, if Asuka wins.
That would be interesting. And yeah, if Asuka wins, then I would be interested to see something like that happen. And dude, just mentioning Asuka, I love Asuka as a talent, but the language barrier, in my opinion, just kind of kills her character for me. Because she probably she's one of the top 3 female wrestlers in the company, like no doubt. And there's a lot of great talent, right? Not to knock on any other talent, right? I would probably put her, Charlotte, and probably I want to say Belair or maybe Becky Lynch, but there's just too many names that I would throw up there, right? That are just in the top tier female talent, at least in WWE, right? But again, like just the fact that they need to bring in like a translator, like a guy like Funaki to be her manager or something like that. You know what I mean? Make it a little funny and make her the heel, right? Because that's what they're trying to build her as a heel.
Her English is not bad though, honestly.
It isn't. So I mean, I don't know.
Have you followed her not her podcast, but her YouTube channel?
I have not. I did not know she had a YouTube channel.
She has a YouTube channel, bro. Like she goes in to get her hair done and everything, and
wow,
you can tell she's trying to force that English with Japanese accent.
Yeah,
because sometimes it comes out so clear when she's trying to describe what color she wants to do her hair next, and she goes shopping and stuff like that, or does mukbangs and things like that. It's real fun to watch her channel.
Yeah, no, for real. Well, that's something I'll definitely have to check out. You might have to send me the link on that. But I guess since we mentioned we're talking about the Female Hall of Fame, and let's get into it, right? We'll go ahead and talk about, again, this is against night 1, right? Becky Lynch and Lita with Trish Stratus versus Damage Control, right? And again, this is a 3 versus 3. The female titles are not on the line, surprisingly. That's kind of something that I was a little bit disappointed in. The fact that, some of the titles are not even on the line, I mean, well, but that basically being the only set of championships not being, defended on the WrestleMania cards, which if you think about it, right, like, if it's WrestleMania, every single title should be on the line. So I don't know why, Vince or Triple H, I don't know whose idea that was to put, them in a 6-woman tag.
I'll blame Vince.
I would have preferred if, it would have been like Lita and Becky Lynch versus, Damage Control, or at least Dakota Kai and Io Sky, right? And then they could have put Trish versus Bailey in a singles match, right? It didn't have to be back to back on the same card or the same night, but they could have put something else out there, that I think that would have been a good standalone match. But, again, I guess because, the shows is not long enough, even though it's on the Peacock network, and they can literally run the show as long as they want. So I do not see the problem of adding in that extra match, considering that, a few weeks back, both cards on both nights were kind of short. If you looked at it on paper, you're like, wow, that's it. That's all we're getting, right? But regardless, right, shout out to the talent here. I think, in my opinion, I'm just gonna say it right, Damage Control takes it. They're gonna upset. Yeah.
To me, if Damage Control takes it, that puts a lot of momentum behind them.
Yeah.
To me, I honestly wouldn't. It wouldn't bother me if Damage Control lost, because again, like you said, the titles are not on the line. So even if they lost, just to give Trish and Lita one more last victory on the grandest stage, and then have an actual title match either at the next pay-per-view where it's just Lita and Becky Lynch versus was it Io Sky and Dakota Kai, and they lose it back to them, that's fine, because Lita. I like her as a wrestler. I think she did great in her earlier days. Right now, I mean, in the match that they had for the titles, you could definitely see some ring rust, and I feel like she's just not conditioned to do a long run with the title. So
yeah, I think it's pretty funny that you mentioned that, actually, that she's not really in I guess the best in-ring shape, right? Obviously, right? She's not an active wrestler. She's a retired Hall of Famer, right? And the fact that I think, it was a year or two ago when she had that little stint with, Becky Lynch at Crown Jewel. And, she had somewhat of a better match there than, they did in this last match when they had the tag championships on the line. Right. So So I'm just thinking to myself, like, oh, a lot of people say, oh, you still got it, and this and that. I'm like, I don't know. Lita's in great shape, though. I mean,
Sometimes I think they waste chance on that, but then again, when it comes to watching it like on TV, because there's still people that I talk to about wrestling, and they don't even know that sometimes they actually like insert audio. Sometimes I think they waste chance. So I don't know. I just think that, like I said, she's not in it for the long run.
Yeah.
I think it was just to really kind of like spotlight the women's tag team division, because I mean they have the belts. They really need to start putting, like, my opinion. I'll share this with you guys. I told my wife this, but they need to start focusing on titles. Like the women's tag team championship needs to get its shine. The fact that there's rumors that they want to get rid of the universal title, like I'm for that. Like have one champion that defends on both shows, and then you can elevate the status of the Intercontinental Championship and the United States Championship. Kind of like what Hulk Hogan did with the X Division title. Like you can cash it in for a shot at the champion, is what I think they should do with the United States and Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah, I mean that would be nice and interesting. I think it would keep things fresh. I mean, not all the time, because I feel like people would just be cashing in their belts all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it would give them not in the same way where they would like surrender the Intercontinental Championship to get a title shot, but like they would be able to, like, say Austin Theory holds the United States title for another 6 months and they were to do something like that, he could very well challenge for the WWE Championship, whether he wins or loses. But it kind of like it puts those that hold those titles in spotlights that gives them some credibility. Than the way that they're giving credibility now, they're not really given any credit.
Yeah.
It's like throwaway belts. Like, oh, I got the United States title. Good for you. Or the United States title's got more shine than the Intercontinental Championship does.
Yeah. I mean, to some degree, a little bit, I mean, as far as the design goes, and now as far as like, now as far as, in my personal opinion, I'm going to like say like just this, that the IC title has more prestige right now than the US title, right? I think Gunther is killing it, right? I think he's he's an up and comer, right? And he's already feuding with guys like Sheamus and McIntyre, who are, again, respectively, are both former heavyweight champions, right? So, again, we'll say to each his own on that, right?
I just feel like that they should put more on the IC title, like, so Gunther being it, like, he's great. Honestly, I wouldn't want him to drop the belt anytime soon. I think there's some good momentum behind him. I love, like you said, I love the fact that, he's already, like, you see these little possibilities, like, especially at the Royal Rumble, going toe-to-toe with McIntyre and Sheamus. And also when he had the confrontation with Brock Lesnar.
Yep.
And you hear the pop of the fans when you see those types of things. It tells you, like, this guy is it. So, like, it's good that the belt is on him. It's just the way that the company is using it, I think, can be better, is what I mean.
Okay. Yeah, and then again, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I guess, I think it's over the last year, I think both mid-card titles have gotten a little more exposure, though, which is good, right? I think those championships are very important, not just for the company, but for rising stars, people that, are going to be future headliners, and to some degree, sometimes these talents don't. Sometimes they win the championships and then they fizzle out quickly, right? I mean, not everyone stays in the company, not everyone lasts. So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens post WrestleMania with both championships, and then I guess I'm excited. I mean, again. Let's see. I think the IC title is night 2, though. So let's see. We're still on night 1. So
we still got some to go.
So we still got a few more matches to go here. Did we? Okay, I guess we'll save the female match for last. But did we already talk about the Usos and Sami Zayn and KO as far as the predictions go? I know we talked about them, but did we give our winners and losers there?
Yeah. Well, actually, we were kind of wrapping up the whole thing with the triple the 6 women tag match.
Oh yes.
Yeah, we did we slightly wrapped that up.
I sidetracked a little bit. Sorry.
No worries. Let's see. Do you wanna do the Usos and Sami Zayn last, and we'll just kind of move on to like Seth and Logan Paul?
Yeah, we can do Seth and Logan Paul. So this one's gonna be quick for me, right? I'm going for Seth freaking Rollins as far as the winner goes, and I don't really care to talk about Logan Paul. But I mean, if you wanna chime in, go ahead, man.
No, I'm with you on that. Like, I mean, honestly, like those are just one of those things that's like, like I thought it was funny when WCW did it when they put the title on what the hell was his name? Is it David Arquette or
David Arquette? Yeah.
Yeah. But it really didn't make sense. Like using Logan Paul to try and amp up WWE, right? And because that's what he vlogs about a lot, when he talks about his experiences. And it's like, dude, you're relevant in the vlogging world. You're not relevant as a wrestler.
Yeah.
So for that one, just to kind of close that out, I'd say Seth Rollins, only because the way that I look at this match is it's a real wrestler versus someone who's just coming in playing wrestler. You can't have the real wrestler lose to an outsider like that.
Yeah, and it's I like the comparison that you gave, right? Of course, David Arquette was already an established actor at that point, in his career, right? So I'm not taking anything away from Arquette. He's a big wrestling fan, and I think it is what it is. It's interesting, it's different. It's definitely a different background, definitely different eras. It's a guy who made himself relevant, right? Getting popular on a platform that we love to use, which is YouTube, right? Getting kind of canceled, from the platform, and then he came back, right? And I guess the guy has his popularity is kind of as high as ever, as it was. And I'll give him this. I don't think he's a bad wrestler to any degree. He's in the few matches that I've seen him in. The guy, he has put in the work, and it's just one of those deals where, okay, in another era or in some strange, bizarre world, I would have liked to see him become a talent. But the fact is, he doesn't need the money. Like, I don't know what his agenda is as far as becoming a superstar or WWE superstar goes. Because to me, it's not really ratings. Or if it is, it's for, I guess maybe WWE is looking at it as like cheap ratings, right? And that's all I can say is really like, and again, I really got nothing against Logan Paul as a human being or anything like that. I just don't really care to see him, as a WWE character, as an ambassador for the company, as someone that is the face of the company. I don't want to see him on the trucks, the next time I go to a show, whether it be down here where I live or like, San Antonio or Houston or Dallas, I don't want to see his face plastered all over the, the WWE trucks.
Yeah. So, this, to me, that's a throwaway match of anything. I go Seth on that. Interesting. The next one, interesting. Rey Mysterio versus Dominic Mysterio.
Yeah. So, yeah. The headliner of tonight's Hall of Fame, by the way. The headliner of tonight's WWE Hall of Fame.
I predict Dominic Mysterio, honestly. I think that Dominic is going to get the victory, but it's not going to be a clean victory.
Well, I'm going to have to go the opposite of you, and I'm going to say Mysterio wins. I would hate for him to put over his son like that, even though like Dominic's been kind of hot over the last, couple months, ever since joining his faction, the Judgment Day, right? He's kind of, if you pay attention to the Judgment Day, him and Rhea Ripley have been kind of the people that are kind of getting the ratings in that department. Not to knock on, Damian Priest or Finn Balor, right? Both of those guys are great, additions to it. And if you look at it, like pretty much Finn Balor is somewhat of the leader of the group, right? But Dominic and Rhea have been killing it as the whole mommy and poppy deal. Dominic getting arrested, and him
ex-con Dom,
you're gonna get got, or if you were in prison, you wouldn't be here right now.
Awesome place.
Stupid, really stupid things for him to say, but it's working. It has worked. I don't know how.
Dude, even the YouTube shorts are working, right? Like, I don't know if you've seen the shorts where he's like working out in the gym and Sheamus just looks at him like, like, what the hell? Those are like 10-pound dumbbells and he's curling it like they're like, 60 pounds. Dom is he's something else, but like the reason that I think that Ray is going to put over his son And the only reason why I think it's going to go down that way is like tonight, again, he is the main person for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And usually when someone goes to the Hall of Fame, they may have like a little bit time left and they want to retire. And I'm thinking it will allow for a bit more of a feud between father and son.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go out and say that Dominic is going to get the final victory in a, career match type thing, because that would totally suck.
Yeah.
But I do think that at some point within their feud, Ray is just going to, he's done. Yeah. Whether he gets the final victory or not. That's the reason why I think he would put Dominic over, is to give his son his first victory at WrestleMania, and one that kind of passes the torch, even though it was done in such a shady way because of his alignment with the Judgment Day. But that's why I think of that.
Yeah. Well, again, there's a plethora of possibilities moving on after WrestleMania, whether Ray wins or loses or Dom wins or loses. I think, for me, I want Ray to win. Just because I don't see him going into the Hall of Fame and then have him lose, the following night. That's just in my opinion, right? And of course, this is coming from a guy that has literally watched Rey Mysterio since pretty much his entire career. Now, of course, I didn't get to see his, matches when he was a teenager in Mexico or anything like that, right? Obviously, but Ray's been wrestling since he was 14, 15 years old.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And he's probably one of the longest tenured active wrestlers besides Chris Jericho. Those are like the two guys that have been like doing it 30 plus years and are still wrestling. Yep. So the highest of respect, I remember watching Rey Mysterio, go at it with guys like Dean Malenko, guys, like Eddie Guerrero, right? Classic matches in WCW.
I love the cruiserweight division.
They were the ones keeping WCW alive, right? During the Monday Night Wars. Granted, of course, all that NWO, LWO bullcrap, right? But
I remember that.
But it's one of those deals where those were the matches. I would literally tune in the first hour of WCW because that's where they literally focused more on like the cruiserweights, and then I would change the channel after that. I would be like, oh, hey, I don't care. I don't care to watch NWO or any other heavyweights or whatever.
That stuff was getting old. The way that Hulk Hogan would always come out and do his promos. I was the same way, man.
Yes.
Like I would, So, in the cruiserweight division, my top guys that I loved to watch was Rey Mysterio was always on top. Especially the first time I seen him was in his match where he came out with the Spider-Man ring gear. And I was like, holy, at first I thought someone was ripping off Spider-Man, but then I realized he would change up his ring gear to kind of honor something like Spider-Man or the Riddler or any of those guys. Correct. And so he's my top one. Under him, some disagree with me on this, but I said Billy Kidman. I love watching his matches. Mm-hmm. And the brothers, Juventud and Psychosis.
Yeah, Juventud and Psychosis. Juventud was probably one of my favorite, Lucha Libre wrestlers also.
He was so cocky, though.
Yeah, he was, but I like watching, they had amazing matches, dude. Like, all those guys
actors
were just like, what the heck am I watching, And if you guys go back and watch, some of that old WCW stuff from, the late 90s, you're going to be wowed because – a lot of the newer generations, guys like Ricochet, who else can I, attest to this? There's a lot of high flyers out there. If you guys watch AEW, right, you're going to watch guys like Rey Fénix and Pentasero Miedo, who, again, those guys are high flyers. They're Lucha Libre wrestlers. That's the style. They mimic their style and their careers off of guys like Rey Mysterio and guys like, Eddie Guerrero and Juventud and Psychosis, all of those guys, right? They were killing it back then, even when heavyweights were just doing basic wrestling moves like leg drops and clotheslines. These guys were everywhere.
Those guys were coming off the wall stuff. Friggin' the finishers were insane. Just the things that they would do that's the reason why I was so hooked on it, was just because it was fast paced. A lot of teetering back and forth, right? So they were they just did so many technical moves and were able to counter each other, and it was so fast. You're like, that this stuff is not real. They choreograph a lot of this stuff, but it's like for them to execute it like that, flawless at most of the times they had their matches. Like, whoa, I was blown away by it.
Yeah, it was very rare that you saw what the people call in the wrestling industry a botch.
Botch.
Even though I know wrestlers hate that term botch. All right, and I've heard guys like Chris Jericho on podcasts say like I hate that term, blah blah blah, and it's understandable, right? Because they are live. This is not. You know, they don't have takeovers. They the move either gets done or it doesn't get done, and that's it.
Yeah.
If you mess up, you mess up. You can't. It's hard to recover from like trying to do like a 360 splash off the top rope. It's really tough. And you can't really go back and try to do it again and then get it right. It doesn't make for it in that type of industry. So. But anyways, Ray, again going forward, I go with Ray, and Tito goes with Dom, which I think is interesting.
Yeah. We got Braun, Ricochet, the Street Profits, Alpha Academy, and the Viking Raiders. The Viking Raiders. Why did Vince change their name from when they were in NXT?
That was a really stupid move. I know they were the War Raiders, I guess, but I guess maybe the name War is a little too non-PG, I guess. For WWE, and I guess because they kind of have like the Viking look. Vince is like, let's call them the Viking Raiders.
Vince must smoke some crazy stuff because, like, when the PG era came along, I was like, how do you go from the Attitude Era, bra and panty matches, Stone Cold with the middle finger, guzzling down beers on live TV?
Yep.
Or they weren't really live at the time. They were pre-recording during the Monday Night Wars. But you go from that and then you go PG. That's why it didn't make sense to a lot of fans. It was like, why are we scaling it down? Like,
the reason why they scale it down is because one, the company did go public, right? Vince did make the company go public, so they have investors and stocks and everything like that.
That's the worst move you can do.
And I guess that, and probably the FCC is probably changing up some stuff as far as like what they can say on live television and what they can do. I mean, obviously, it was a different era in the late '90s or early 2000s. I'll agree there, right? It was definitely something to watch. Now, we're getting a dumbed down version of that, but it is what it is. I think the female talent that was having to do stuff like that kind of paved the way for the current female talent that don't have to be showing off their their nalgas or their chichis. Yeah,
I agree with you there. Like, I love the fact that the women's division has changed. Like, don't get me wrong on that.
It's not sexualized anymore, right?
Yeah.
Which at one point, whether it be WCW or WWE, they did have to kind of do that so that people would be interested. And again, pioneers like Trish and Lita, and of course even Chyna, right? Kind of again paved the way to what the division is now, because again they were having to do those bra and panty matches, right? Or do those little striptease to kind of get noticed. And of course they again respectively towards the end of their careers that was kind of already gone, and Trish and Lita both got to retire in an aspect where they didn't have to do stuff like that, right? But again they still had to do it in their career to kind of get where they were. So it's definitely a different era though, and I get why some people miss the era a little bit, but I'm not missing it too much.
I miss it for the microphone promos. Like, I guess that's the reason why I gravitated towards CM Punk when he was on the mic, just because he was willing to break rules to cut a good promo.
Oh gosh, CM Punk, that's going to have to be for another podcast, because there's been a lot. There has been a lot of news for CM Punk over the last week and a half, 2 weeks already, and I don't know if you're paying attention to that or not, but
I am.
There's been a lot going on.
We could do a whole show dedicated. Like, I think that's what I kind of want to do with you on this podcast. Is not only go over pay-per-views and go and rate the shows and stuff like that, but also to like do like a podcast highlight. Like, I do want to do one dedicated to China. Yeah. We could do stuff like that. Kind of build upon that with this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds great.
And again, that sounds good. I'm not against any of that. Currently, again, they are still showing the Hall of Fame. They just inducted that comedian Kaufman guy, who I believe the next inductee. And we were supposed to get Batista this year, by the way. And Batista, I guess, decided to back out. I guess he had some other plans. I think it would have been perfect for him to be inducted this year, since it is in Hollywood, though, right? And since he is an actor now as well. But anyways, I guess again, going to the next match, before the main event, right? Which is, again, I don't know if this is the exact order. I know this is an outdated card that I'm seeing here. But it's Braun Strowman, Ricochet versus the Street Profits versus Alpha Academy. It's like a fatal 4-way tag team match. I don't really know why this isn't just like a pre-show match, or they should have probably aired this on SmackDown. I guess they just kind of have to fit all these guys on the card somehow, right? So let's put them in a fatal 4-way tag team match with 4 tag teams. Again, I don't know if there's any stipulation or like, hey, if you win, you're gonna get a shot at the tag team championships. They really never really announced any of that, or at least in my opinion, or from what I've been watching. Excuse me, not my opinion. But anyways, not a match I really cared to watch. But if I have to pick, I'm gonna go Street Profits probably.
Same. I'm gonna go Street Profits. Yeah. I think that the company is going to really kind of push the Street Profits only because they're going to be pushing I forgot his name.
Montez Ford,
Montez Ford. Yeah, I know that they have plans to push him as a singles.
Mm-hmm. Yes, no, and that's understandable. They kind of did that tonight on tonight's SmackDown, where he was in the Fatal 4-Way against 3 of the other guys in that Fatal 4-Way. And he's got a lot of personality. The guy, he's got a great build. I'm not going to say anything there, right? He's got a good face. He's the guy that in 5 years down the line, right? They can put the strap on him. And he's still relatively young, but at the same time, the guy has been in the company for a pretty long time, guys. I mean, I want to say at least 5-6 years that he's been kind of doing it, when he was with NXT, and then they gave him a push a couple years back on the main roster. Yep. Definitely, I think I think it might be a match that kind of, I wouldn't say steal the show, but kind of surprises everybody, right? It's going to be one of those where you're going to see a lot of near falls. And again, I don't know if there's going to be any type of weapons used or anything like that. There's really, in both nights, besides the Hell in a Cell match, there's really no other matches that has any type of a street fight feel or anything like that. So this will be interesting.
Oh yeah, definitely. Let's move it on to the the Usos and Sami Zayn. So
yeah.
So either way, how it goes on the Uso side, I am going to go with KO and Zayn. I do think that after this WrestleMania, the Bloodline has held it down for so long. It's time for them to start taking losses. Otherwise, their storyline is just going to go so bland if they continuously keep winning. So I do think that KO and them take the titles. The only thing I'm interested in knowing, does Jay screw over the Bloodline?
Yeah.
That's what I want to find out.
And that might be something that, we might not even see until night 2 of WrestleMania, right? But my prediction as far as this goes is I think the Usos are actually going to retain, right? I feel like I'm kind of going opposite of you, right? But no, I think the Usos are going to retain, right? Maybe later down the road, maybe whether it be Backlash or even SummerSlam, they are going to take the titles off of them. And if you watch tonight's SmackDown, which, I did, again, I can't comment on you, right?
I wasn't able to.
Oh yeah, you said you weren't able to, right? But, they, at the beginning of the show, both Sami Zayn and KO came out, and so did the Usos, right? And they're kind of, cutting their promos, right? And Jey Uso said something that kind of struck to me, that kind of hit hard, saying that basically, that the Usos are going to retain, right? And that KO is going to do what he always does, and he's going to turn on Sami Zayn. So this is historically true. If you guys pay attention, right, to, wrestling history, right? Whether it be him being in Ring of Honor or, the NXT days where Sami Zayn won the championship, and then, KO debuts and he attacks Zayn out of the gate. And they've had feuds going in and off and on over the past years. Even after their call-ups, right? I think they had a feud going for a little bit. Yeah. Of course, they try to separate them. But, their chemistry is undeniable, I think, as far as their relationship goes. But you never know. It could, again, I am kind of thinking that, KO and Zayn are going to win also. I want to say the Usos are going to retain, but, I just think that, it's going to be a great match at the end of the night.
Yeah. Something that you said is very interesting. And how, with the promo that they cut tonight and how Jay kind of went into that, that just even pushes in my head more that Jay is going to screw over the Bloodline. And the other reason why I say that is because when you have Jay kind of do what I call direction, right? Because there are questionable things that Jey Uso has done and things that he has said that has me thinking. But to take the spotlight on the fact that he may actually, double cross his own brother and, the bloodline, would be that, he would shift the attention on KO being known to backstab Sami Zayn. Because then everyone will think, just like how you're thinking right now, like, yeah, that he's known to do that. So it takes the light off Jey. Because Jey, like I said, he stopped Roman from beating Sami Zayn with a chair, which if he really hated Sami for betraying them, he along with his brother would have attacked that night. There was many times that Jey could have got Sami alone and just beat him if he was really that pissed off at him. Like even when they were backstage and Sami went to him and said, "I acknowledge you," and you had those moments. Not the last promo, but a couple of promos back, Jey said something interesting also in his promo when he accepted the challenge for the titles because Jimmy said no, and Jey agreed. And in that promo that night, he made it clear he was not going to turn his back on his own twin. So the emphasis that I heard from Jay's promo was, I only did this and I only backstabbed you, Sami, because Roman was going to put it on my brother if I didn't return.
Yep.
So
and he's right.
It's a back and forth thing. It's like, could he betray him? Could he not? Like it leaves it. And this is why I love the storyline. It leaves it so open. You just don't know what's going to happen.
Very true. There's been a lot of back and forth, especially with Zayn and Jey. Because they've built a relationship. Over the last year as well, and they do talk about the fact that both parties have had a relationship since their NXT days. Sami Zayn has had a relationship prior with the Usos prior to the whole bloodline storyline. Kevin Owens saying that the Usos were like one of the first people to kind of accept him and make him like feel at home when he came to the company. Things like that, things of that nature. So it's going to be interesting. And of course, Zayn calling out, Jey Uso saying that, that Roman Reigns doesn't have his back. Basically saying like, hey, that once we win the titles, you guys are gonna separate, and we might see that. Who knows? We might see a big crack in the bloodline.
Yeah, because I know that there's rumors that they're supposed to, like, the bloodline. So that's what I say. Like, it could go anywhere. Because there's also rumors that the bloodline needs female talent, and so there's somebody they're bringing in that's going to satisfy that. So the bloodline not ending at WrestleMania may continue on and may bring in a new person. But like I said, this is one of those, and that's why I think it's a great storyline. It can go so many ways. There's so many things. Like, we got a little sample of it when Sami did not strike Kevin Owens with the chair, but instead struck Roman Reigns with it. We saw a lot of possibilities because in that moment, you had Cody Rhodes that won the Royal Rumble, so he challenges for the title. Sami Zayn was already going to get a title shot, and then people were even predicting that Jey leaves the bloodline and he challenges for the title. And it leaves so many things so wide open. That's why I'm so for that story. It's such a good story.
It is, and it's going to be sad to see it end, right? But at the same time, I think all these guys need a very big vacation, a very long vacation. They did put a lot in, right? So, regardless of the outcome, I think I'll just be happy, whether the straps stay on, the bloodline or they don't. It's going to be a good WrestleMania, and I think I'm just excited overall. I'm already losing my voice, and I think we're going to be live streaming a little bit tomorrow. At least the first hour, right? You had said you wanted to do it like the first hour live stream, right?
Yeah, we could do I wanted to do the first hour just because those are like, the open matches, us talking and stuff like that. Because I don't know about you, but I'll be honest, like when I watch pay-per-views, especially night 2, I don't want to live on night 2 just because I really want to focus in on everything. I want to miss nothing.
No, that's no problem. Don't get me wrong. Like, I mean, we can commentary on the Cena and Theory match and whatever. And there's probably only going to be like 2 or 3 matches within that first hour, like max. So we can make our comments and we'll see if our predictions come true or not. So see how that goes.
For sure.
Yes, sir. Well, let's see. What matches do we have left on this night?
We covered them. Oh no, wait, no, Charlotte Flair
we
and
still
Rhea.
got Charlotte and Rhea Ripley. Okay, so I'm just gonna say it, Rhea Ripley.
I go same. I think
Yeah.
that I think they're pushing her. She's like her momentum is so hot with the Judgment Day.
Yeah.
It's like you cannot not put the belt on her already. Charlotte has had multiple titles already. She's had momentum. She'll have momentum without a strap. She doesn't need it.
She doesn't need it, yeah. And at the end of the day, I think it'll be more interesting to see Rhea with her manager, or I wouldn't say manager, but with her little boy Dom over here in the corner, helping her, because you don't see a lot of that. You don't see a female talent like who is a high level as Rhea Ripley with like a manager or someone that's at their side, having their back. And getting in other people's faces, and I would love to see kind of that element, especially in the female division, of a female wrestler with a male talent that's like a manager or just somebody there,
escort,
and the side, like an escort or something like that, And I think that's just going to be a funny dynamic, and it'll be interesting to see them kind of elevate each other, right? Not just Rhea, right, but once she wins the title, right, like say, hey. You need to put in your own weight also, right? Get him to, maybe go for one of those mid-card titles like the United States Championship, right? That way, maybe, maybe they can be jumping back and forth between shows. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, that definitely there. But yeah, my predictions is Rhea Ripley takes the title. I mean, Charlotte Flair, she's cool without it. She don't need it.
Charlotte Flair could retire today, and I would be a happy man. I could be 100% honest, and I don't dislike Charlotte Flair. I just don't like how they have booked her and how they have made her to be the last couple of years. Like her first couple of years on the main roster, I really enjoyed her. She, I loved watching her matches in NXT also. She is, even though, she's the daughter of Ric Flair, right? She has come into her own as a talent, and has basically exceeded everyone's expectations. I mean, I've never once complained saying, "Oh, Charlotte, that was a shitty Charlotte Flair match," and blah blah blah. They've put her up against a lot of talents, and she, she has pretty much, rise to the occasion every single time, right? So, not to knock on her, I think it's just that she's already past the point where she doesn't need to be in the title picture anymore. I mean, 14 times, she's
up there already.
Who's going to eclipse that? The next person that's closest to her as far as in WWE goes would probably be Trish at 7. I don't think any other females have held the title that many times, or even more than 10 times. She's the one. You could call her the female GOAT of her generation of the era. And just so you guys know, the Great Muta is being inducted into the Hall of Fame as we speak right now. So Flair was the one inducting him, and I can say that I maybe watched a couple of his matches when he was duking it out in WCW, I believe.
I like his matches with Sting.
Yeah, against guys like Sting, right? I'm not too familiar with his work outside of that. I know he's a big star in Japan, obviously, right?
Oh yeah,
and he's very highly acclaimed. He's famous for the spitting of the paint, I guess.
The Great Mist.
The Mist. He was the one that came up with that. So shout outs to him. And I don't know exactly how this is going to work. I don't know how the guy's English is, but again, I'm going to watch the replay on this a little bit later anyway. So
it's funny that he's there, because he was not long ago. He was in AEW helping Sting.
And then well, I think Shinsuke Nakamura was one of the guys that was doing like his farewell tour matches, so to speak, right? He was one of his last opponents in I forget the promotion, but it wasn't New Japan though. It was I think Pro Wrestling Noah or something like that. But yeah, so I mean, shout outs to him though. Even though the guy probably never even wrestled in a WWE ring, they still inducted him into the Wrestling Hall of Fame. So
congratulations,
that's yeah,
Great Muta.
Congrats. And his mask is like awesome. I love his mask. I love the design. As well. So shout outs to him. But again, that is night 1, I guess. That was just a precursor. Here's night 2, guys. Not as many matches on night 2 as you can see here.
Oh yeah, not a lot of them. But I do want to make an honorable mention to a match that is not happening at WrestleMania because somebody got sick. Somebody has bad luck, and he's He's one of my top wrestlers. I enjoy watching it. It's like he gets the worst luck ever. Bray Wyatt's match is not there.
Yeah. So a lot of people and myself, I kind of believe that, the reason why all this transpired was because Vince McMahon is kind of in the back seat of the show now, if you know what I mean. And one of the main reasons why he did come back was because Vince was not in charge of creative anymore.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of speculation that, he had, decided, I don't want to be here anymore because Vince is back. But there was other, again, I don't know if these are true because I don't know what's going on, right? Saying that he got sick. There was some post-COVID complications that he had because apparently he had COVID like last year sometime. And I guess I don't know if there's just complications in general that he's suffering from. I did get to see him wrestle at the Rumble in that that Mountain Dew pitch black match, which was very interesting. I wouldn't say it was the best match I've ever seen, but it
wasn't a 5-star match, but
it wasn't a 5-star match, but it was interesting. Like, getting to see, the face paint and the black light.
I love the face paint. Like, that was such a great concept. Like, my wife was watching it with me, and she was like, when they turned on all the black lights and you just saw his face just glow with the design, I was like, it makes sense now. Like, you're not looking at Bray Wyatt and then the Fiend.
Yeah.
Like, the mask is staring you dead on in the face. You just don't see it, but it's there.
Yeah.
And then Uncle Howdy being Bo Dallas. I don't care what anyone says. That fool
it's Bo
is
Dallas.
Bo Dallas.
Yeah. I think we can all agree it's Bo Dallas. And I was really kind of liking the lead up with Alexa Bliss and her kind of transition with the with that storyline, because again, like, even though they were not even on the same show and there was no like direct communication, you saw the little Bray Wyatt bumblebee or whatever, that the wasp, upside down wasp, show up in every little scene that she was in, and her attitude was changing, and there was kind of like a build up there with Bianca Belair, seeing her attitude and everything change. And I was really hoping that we would see something like that, like kind of lead up to WrestleMania. But again, even Alexa Bliss has been out since the Rumble, basically, taking time off as well. So I'm not sure what's going on there with her either. Apparently she just asked for some time off, I guess. And her not being at WrestleMania is disappointing for me, because I really like her. Yeah, I really liked her, but
it's gonna go cold.
Yeah, the Wyatt Six. It's pretty much, I don't know how they can recover from this, because after the LA Knight feud, like even by then they were complaining that they were taking too long to kind of get things off the floor. And I can agree there, because I was just like, every week, you got like subtle hints and little things here and there. Uncle Howdy finally, the promos, the vignettes, everything. And I'm just like, what's happening? When is something actually going to happen? Right? When are we actually going to see something happen in the ring? When are we going to see like a takeover of some sorts? Right? Whether it be against the Bloodline or some other faction like the Judgment Day. Nothing ever happened. They kind of were just.
I was thinking Royal Rumble.
Exactly.
After that, when Uncle Howdy basically elbow dropped LA Knight, I was thinking, because I know it's hard to see because the way they had the lighting set up, but like all the characters were up there. They were just underneath Uncle Howdy before he jumped. And I was like, I thought they were going to unveil who's the Wyatt Six, who's involved. Like, I was thinking, what's his name? Karrion Kross or Killer Kross. What's he go by in WWE? Karrion Kross, right?
Yeah, Karrion Kross. Yes, correct.
Yeah, I was thinking that because he did a lot of on that channel. I think it's It Begins. He did a lot of promos on there where Bray was doing those little vignettes on YouTube, and one of the guys wearing the scarecrow mask with the baseball bat was Karrion Kross. Because later on in the vignettes, he was unmasked along with, I think it's Scarlett. He was unmasked and he was with her. So you already see a relationship there. I was thinking that they were going to unveil him at the Royal Rumble, but no, we got nothing.
Yep, and now Karrion Kross was in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal over here, along with probably other characters that they could have included in the Wyatt Six, right? And I was even considering them putting LA Knight in. I was like, damn, like, with that feud going on and everything like that, they should. And that's because he was getting himself over kind of naturally, the fans were kind of behind him, and they were behind him tonight in LA. even though he didn't win the Battle Royal, unfortunately, right? They had Bobby Lashley win because he had to be in some sort of match for WrestleMania, and they, and of course, as I guess a constellation prize, they gave Lashley the win. Just because again they Lashley was hot, guys. Lashley was very hot all this past year, feuding with Brock Lesnar. He was the WWE champion at one point. Having that feud with Lesnar was pretty big leading up to SummerSlam this past year. And
I thought that should have been on the card for tonight instead of Lesnar and Omos. I mean,
yes,
I don't know.
They should have. They should have did like a Lesnar Lashley part 3 or whatever the hell. Again, they should have like Lashley should have taken out Omos on tonight's SmackDown, and they should have been like, okay, Lashley's gonna take the spot and have him versus Lesnar in a no disqualification match or a no holds barred. Anything, right? I would have loved to see that, right? Rather than Brock Lesnar versus Omos. That's just disappointing. I
got a theory about that when we start discussing our picks of who wins that match. But
okay,
let's go into this. So we'll start off from the bottom and work our way up, so we don't get confused.
Yeah, no, that's all good. Yeah,
Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez. Who do you think wins in that match?
So this is again another fatal 4-way tag team match. Again, I don't know what the stipulation with this is, but it's a lot of female talent. You get Liv Morgan tagging with Raquel, and then they're fighting against Natalya and Shotzi versus Ronda Rousey and Shayna, and then again Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green. So my prediction, probably Ronda Rousey and Shayna, if I can be 100% honest, and not because I want them to win, but because it's Ronda Rousey's name, and you can't have a big name like Ronda Rousey lose at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I was going to go with the same sentiment on that. I see them putting Ronda and Shayna over only just because, they're working together as a unit, obviously they had their own little clique that was also considered the women of Four Horsemen. Mm-hmm. So I see them going over. If I actually chose who would go over, I don't know, for some strange reason, and it's Chelsea Green, Sonya Deville, comical wise, I see them going over, but not to be taken seriously. I don't know, is there something about just the way that they are, that their characters are? I don't think that they have enough push behind them.
Not right now, because they just barely put that tag team together this past week anyways. So, and before that, I think Chelsea Green was with somebody else. I already forgot who she was with, but I think it was Carmella. I don't know why Carmella is out of the picture all of a sudden. And she's not in any of the matches for WrestleMania. But, again, Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green, I think that's something that'll be developing, a little bit better after WrestleMania, hopefully. And, after WrestleMania season, we get the new season of Raw and SmackDown, and we'll see how that goes. Hopefully, maybe there's a shakeup, or, maybe they'll start doing another draft again. But yeah, I'm just going to stay with Ronda and Shayna, just because, again, it's Ronda Rousey. And, I think, because now that she's not in the title picture, they kind of have to put her somewhere as far as, top. And I think they're going to probably put her and Shayna as, the top defending tag team, against the female tag team champions. So, and I think originally they were actually supposed to win the female tag team champions. I don't know exactly what happened. I think Ronda has an injury to her arm, I think, actually, in real life. So that's why she's been kind of off air and not really wrestling. They've been having Shayna Baszler wrestle the matches a little bit more. So, we'll see how that goes. But, again, I don't have any more comments on that match.
Moving on, we got Brock Lesnar and Omos, and so I think Omos is gonna win, not because I want him to be able to overpower Brock Lesnar. I know that's been the push, is two behemoths going at it, but I think Omos wins because I think Bobby Lashley gets his revenge for the last encounter that him and Brock had with that kick to the groin.
I think he lost the U.S. title because of that. Also.
It continues their feud to a Lashley Lesnar 3.
Yeah, I think, and I can see that happening probably at SummerSlam. I think hopefully the stipulations are a little bit higher, right? I wouldn't want to say hopefully one of them's champion or something like that, because who knows what's going to happen with the WWE and Undisputed Championship? Are they going to separate it? I'm hearing that Triple H wants to bring back the big gold and the World Heavyweight title and get rid of the Universal Championship altogether, right? There's a lot of things that could happen between after WrestleMania and SummerSlam. So I don't want to get too prediction in here, but again, I would say that Omos does win this also. Again, agreeing with you that, Bobby Lashley still has heat with Brock Lesnar, and that, we're going to see some, again, some revenge, a little bit of revenge, at, WrestleMania. And again, that'll lead into another a feud. And again, Brock Lesnar doesn't really need to be in the title picture anymore, right? Not to say that Bobby Lashley doesn't, because I think Bobby Lashley could probably win a few more championships before he decides to retire or move on from wrestling, because he's been doing it a long time, guys. Bobby Lashley has been wrestling for like close to 20 years already. Also, if people don't pay attention to that, he's been in the company since like 2004, 2005 maybe.
I think it was 2004.
Yeah, so he's been there a long time. When they had that ECW original ECW, the ECW. Okay, excuse me for saying original ECW. I mean the ECW revamp. Okay, that's what I meant.
Yeah, they didn't have the original, but and you know what, the Lesnar and Lashley 3, they can, if they wanted to build it a different way where it wasn't just like a wrestling match between each other. Quite honestly, if anyone could actually perform in an MMA style match against Brock, it would be Lashley, because he did fight professionally in MMA.
Yeah, that would be something also to watch. Maybe bringing back the some sort of octagon or cage, and having them fight having them fight some sort of style. Oh, and just a heads up, they are inducting former referee, I believe his name is Tim White, into the Hall of Fame. And they are having JBL and Ron Simmons induct him. So shout out to and RIP to him, because he passed away, I think, last year. So, so anyways, again, both of our picks are on Omos. Not that we want Omos to win, but again, we can't. I don't see any other way.
No clean victory.
No, there's no way for him to beat Brock Lesnar. And I mean, you never know. Maybe in another Bizarro universe, he does win clean. So I don't know if that's going to happen, but you never know.
Yeah, you never know on that. So we'll see.
Yes,
moving on to the next one, and this one I think is going to be interesting. Edge versus Finn Balor.
Yep.
But I don't think it's going to be like just Edge versus Finn. I honestly feel that the key thing here is Brood Edge and the Demon.
Possible. So there again, dirt sheets say that Edge is going to probably come out as far as like the whole Brood goes, and we might see Gangrel, and we might possibly see Christian, aka Christian Cage, return as well, at least for the one night. I heard that Tony Khan gave the green light for him to go and do his thing at WrestleMania. I don't know if that's going to happen. I think that would be something that Vince would not want. But you never know. I mean, since Edge is kind of already getting close to his retirement again, his actual retirement, this might be something that we see happen, and I would love to see it, right? But who knows? I mean, but as far as the match goes, it could be. I think it could go both ways, because you have different factors, right? You have the Judgment Day interfering, right? I don't know why it had to be a Hell in a Cell match, because I didn't really care for the build up to this match, and I'm really over Edge's, I guess, thing with the Judgment Day. This is my prediction, and again, the only way I can see Edge winning is if Randy Orton somehow comes back and helps his buddy out, after all of the Judgment Day gets involved, right? So Judgment Day gets involved, they get in the ring, you see Dom, you see Damian Priest, I don't know if Rhea would be in there, but you never know, right? And Edge is just spearing everybody left and right, but of course, they start beating on him, and then of course you hear Randy Orton's music come out, right? The I hear voices in my head, all
Randy
randomly.
Orton is one of my favorites too, man. But I got a different thing on Randy Orton. I gotta talk about that later as we go through our predictions. But I got a different scenario for Randy Orton. But I feel like that we're getting the Demon Finn Balor just because he made mention in that promo that Edge is not the only one that has demons, and so You have the Brood Edge. You have the Brood Edge. You have Demon Finn Balor. You have Damian Priest who can interfere. Christian could come on behalf of Edge. And that could equalize it to where, me personally, I honestly feel like Edge gets the victory to close it out and allows the Judgment Day to go to a different feud with other people.
Yeah.
And Edge gets his victory. He can walk away into the sunset. That's my thoughts.
And, hopefully he does, take that W and, again, walk into the sunset and able to feud against other people, right? I think I would like to see him feud with a few more young talents before he retires completely. And yes, the Demon is rumored to make his appearance at WrestleMania. I think that's something that they've been actually, promoting on the card itself. That they even showed like a thing where he turns into the Demon, in a small video package. So that's something that I mean, visually, I want to see it because we haven't seen Demon Balor come out in a few years already. They've been kind of keeping that away, even though that's what kind of made him over in the company when he was in NXT and even his early WWE days when he first became the Universal Champion ever, right? But I guess we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be an interesting match, and I hope it's hard hitting, and I hope we get to see a little bit of blood, maybe not a lot, but just enough.
Brood bloodbath at the end to seal the deal. That's about as much blood.
Yeah. We can. I don't mind the fake blood. This doesn't have to be real blood, but okay. Again, that's my prediction. I think. Well, actually, no, I didn't give my prediction. I'm hoping Edge wins though. Edge is my guy for the win. I think Edge needs to win. He's been kind of battling it with them for a while now. That I Quit match kind of set him over. In that last match when I think it happened at Survivor Series or was it SummerSlam, with him in the I Quit match. So
I know Survivor Series, wasn't it?
I think it might have been SummerSlam actually, where he was fighting against Balor. And he had just been out for a while until the Rumble. He was out until the Rumble.
That's right.
He returned at the Rumble. And it's been kind of going since then. So again, I'm going with Edge, and I think you said you were going with Edge also, right?
Yep.
All right.
They gotta close that feud. So
they gotta close.
Our
that
picks
feud.
are Edge.
We're over it already. We're over Edge feuding with the Judgment Day. So
yes, we are.
All right.
It's time for it to end.
It's time. Okay. So next match would be hopefully the show stealer of the night, right? Which will be the triple threat match: Gunther versus Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. So if you guys have been paying attention to Gunther, right, he debuted a while back and he won the Intercontinental title right away, and he's been champion ever since. You know what I mean? And Imperium is back to full force. They only had that one guy at first, and then they brought the other guy back. And, they've been kind of the faction besides the Bloodline. They haven't really messed with the Bloodline. He's been kind of staying out of Roman Reigns' lane. But, he's been kind of, the force when it comes to the mid-card title. I don't see Gunther retaining. Unfortunately, I think Sheamus wins this just because that is the title that he has not won throughout his entire career.
I was going to go with that too.
Yeah, but Triple H is very heavy on Gunther, so I also see it hard for him to lose the match, especially since it's a triple threat match. You never know what could happen. His Imperium group could get involved. But same thing with Sheamus and his gang. They could also get involved with the Brawling Brutes as well. And it's gonna be one of those finishers where you're gonna be just off, sitting at the edge of your seat, and you're gonna be like, wow, okay, this is, whoever wins. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that. Out of the triple threat, Drew McIntyre's out of the equation. Right now, I just don't see them pushing him for a mid card title. Yeah. Sheamus, like you said, he's never held the belt, so this would be for him to actually claim victory on that title belt, to be able to hold it. Yep. But with Gunther retaining, I feel like that if Gunther retains, it also then confirms my suspicions of before Sheamus wins the Intercontinental title, he's got to finish his feud with Drew McIntyre because they are a tag team, Brothers of Bang. They have to break that for Sheamus to be singles again.
And what do they call the tag team again?
Brothers of Bang?
The Brothers of Bang, or maybe the Bang Bros. Whose genius idea was that?
Something I heard it was called Brothers of Bang. and people thought it wasn't.
Yeah, so no, they were originally calling them the Banger Brothers or the Banger Brothers, but I think someone didn't realize that there's a production company called Bang Bros in the corn industry. The corn industry. So, they just showed Asuka in the crowd at the Hall of Fame ceremony without the paint on. She's looking very slim and slender, so that's nice. I'm thinking that they only have maybe Rey Mysterio to go as far as his induction. So this we might be finished with the Hall of Fame. But let's go ahead and move on to that next match, unless there's something you want to add to that triple threat match.
No, that's pretty much my thoughts on that. We'll move on to the Bianca Belair, Asuka. I'm going Asuka.
So I don't know if this is the correct order of the match. I think actually Bianca Belair and Asuka is actually supposed to open night 2, if I'm not correct on that. But yeah, I'm gonna go Asuka on this one, just because Bianca Belair, she's been champion for a full year already. And shout outs to her for holding it down on the Raw. Not to knock on her. In my opinion, she's a boring champion, right? I think they need to do something with her to kind of repackage her a little bit, because she can wrestle and everything, and I think she's one of those wrestlers that is a good face, but I'm just really not interested in seeing her as champion. You know what I mean? She's better when she's chasing for
a heel turn.
That would be interesting, I think, because in NXT, in her earlier days, she was more of a heel than a face, right?
Yeah.
But ever since they started putting the title on her, they were like, oh yeah, she's the new face, and again, she has it all. She can wrestle. She has great personality, but I think she just needs a little bit more. And I that's what I think, right? I think Asuka, she's been champion multiple times already, but I think it's just time for a change, right? And I want to see heel Asuka. I want to see a badass version of her. That we haven't seen before, and I don't feel that we've gotten to see a lot of that leading up to WrestleMania, because they've just been
they miled it down when she was with Kairi Sane.
They dumped it down, and again, we know she can do it all in the ring. There's nothing there. She's one of the top female champions in the last 5 years. I put her as far as top 3 with Charlotte Flair, right? As well.
Yep.
But again, I guess we'll see how it goes. I'm just hoping for a good match, a good clean match, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I want to see if Asuka does win, though. I want to see some sort of heelish move at the end, she grabs the trunks or whatever, or she cheats a little to win, because that's what we need.
Yeah, I want a clean victory on that match. Wherever they go afterwards, a heel turn for Asuka is good. Yeah. A heel turn for Bianca Belair, and for her to, I would like, and this is just me before I close this section out, but
yeah,
I want Bianca Belair to go heel, and I'd love to see her go feud with Rhea Ripley after Rhea wins the SmackDown Women's Championship.
I could see that happening, and the reason being is because they have a lot of unfinished business. That's a feud that I'll never really get tired of watching. I think those two go good together, and they came up in NXT together also, right? So it's a chemistry that that these two wrestlers have, right? So if that does happen, obviously if Rhea wins, she's going to be the SmackDown champion, so she's going to be predominantly on that show. So that means that we might have to see Bianca Belair transition over to that show as well. So I'm very interested in seeing that, though. That would be something I would like to see, right? And of course, I think they would have to keep the title on Rhea for a good minute, right? But it would be fun to watch. And just so you guys know, they are showing the videos of Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero in their legendary feuds over here. So just a heads up, if you are watching the Hall of Fame ceremony on the Peacock app for $4.99, I think that's how much you can pay for. That's how much I pay for, at least. I know they have a higher tier. Yeah, I pay for the commercials. I don't care.
The commercials don't affect the pay-per-view, so I don't care.
Yeah, because they're showing backstage stuff or something else. So you still have to see the commercials in the pay-per-view either way. Now that it's on Peacock, so which honestly I don't mind.
I don't mind either. It doesn't really bother me all too much. But let's get into it.
Let's go.
Roman Reigns, the tribal chief,
the big dog,
island of relevancy. The big
dog. Put your fingers up, guys.
I feel should have been the one to end the streak, not Brock Lesnar.
Right. Well, I mean, Reigns did beat the Undertaker at WrestleMania, also. So I mean,
Yeah, but the streak was already broken by Brock. So and you know what? It's
yeah,
funny to hear Vince McMahon actually admit he should have
yeah,
let Roman be the one to end the streak. But
yeah.
besides that, he's
It would have made
defending
sense.
against Cody Rhodes, the Reynolds
Yeah,
family, the Reynolds legacy,
yeah.
the first one to hold the WWE Championship if he wins and when he wins, because that's who my pick is.
Damn. Well, so you want Rhodes to win, huh?
I do.
Yeah.
Oh, not. So it's weird because there's two ways I want this to go. I want
Mhm.
this to go kind of like what happened between Sting and Hogan at Starrcade '97,
Yep.
but a little bit more of a reverse. Like Cody wins it, but there's like a technicality, title don't change hand.
Yeah.
Continue the feud sort of to a
Uh-huh.
degree, but then I don't want the feud to continue anymore. I actually do want Rhodes to get a clean win
Yeah.
and win it, not only for his dad, not only for his brother, but for himself. And this is where I think that Randy Orton comes into play. This is why I said I'd talk about him later. Because I feel
I
like
see.
at any given moment, Solo Sikoa is going to try to interfere.
Yeah.
And the biggest pop for Randy Orton's return is to come to the aid of one of Legacy's members that helped him in his days with their stable to come and return a gesture and RKO
Yep.
RKO Solo Sikoa and just help Cody get the victory.
That's kind of interesting take. I see it more for him backing up Edge than Cody, but I can see that just because, again, it's kind of like a passing of the torch, just like when Cena kind of, gave his respect to Cody Rhodes a couple of weeks back on SmackDown, right?
Yeah.
So definitely, I think that would be interesting to see. And I was actually going to share everyone's favorite theme song over here on on the stream before, since we're not I was like, well, I'm not monetizing this stream, so it don't matter to me.
Yeah,
but I was like, oh,
just starting off.
I was like, oh yeah, we can play the song. It's all good. Like, let's freaking do it. Like,
it is on my workout playlist.
There you go. It's hilarious. I'll lower it a little bit so that we can still kind of talk over it.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, my pick is gonna be Cody Rhodes. Also, I think it's been a long time coming for him. I think he's done a lot of great things for the business over the past couple of years. With him leaving the company and trying to become one on his own and doing it his way. Kind of resetting the batteries a little bit. He left the company because he knew it wasn't working, like, for him at the time. Here we go. Let me lower it a little bit more. And he decided to do his own thing. He got together with some other independent wrestlers that you guys may know of, and they started a small company called All Elite Wrestling. Right? I was kind of a shocker to see him leave the company after the first couple years, though. Right? But I think his heart really resonated in finishing his story in WWE. And not in AEW. I think he'll always be a standing part of All Elite Wrestling, right? But definitely seeing him transition over the last couple of years as a talent, as a mentor, as somebody that is just a face of the company now. It's hard to say that he's not a face, right? When he's done so many things now. Prior to him coming back, that awesome feud with Seth Rollins that he had, that Hell in a Cell match, the torn pectoral muscle. Yeah. All right, I'm getting into the song over here, man.
Oh, I know, man.
Right. Okay. So we'll kind of. I'll stop the song, guys, because I do want to put on the Tribal Chief song as well, right? But both our picks are Cody. I was gonna put the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns new theme. But I think it's going to be a great match, and I think there's going to be a lot of things that can or will be happening during the match. Again, like you said, part of the bloodline coming out. Some things that could happen. Also, Jey Uso, man, it could be a big factor, right? As well, and interfering in this match in some way or getting involved. after them losing the tag team championships, there could be a lot of stuff going on. I think the Randy Orton prediction is a little bit too much for me, I would believe. Hold on, let's see. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's see if I can get this to play. There he is. There he is, the head of the table, guys. The man that has held the championship for 964 days. The tribal chief, the head of the table, Roman Reigns, and your Universal Champion. There you go.
You're gonna steal Paul Heyman's job,
right? The undisputed, I can't even. Paul Heyman is a character of his own, man. That guy gets over by he doesn't even have to talk. All he has to do is use facial expressions, and you're just like, what the freak? What's going on there? But
he said that about his time with CM Punk. He was like, CM Punk already cut good promos. That all Paul Heyman had to do was make faces, and every time CM Punk said WWE Championship, hold that 40-pound belt up.
Yeah, that's all he had to do, and that's true. Like, and I kind of like that he even though he's an advocate for Roman Reigns as well, right? That he isn't overpowering like he was with Brock Lesnar. He's kind of stepping back and letting Roman Reigns do his thing, and he's being the wise man, the advisor to the tribal chief, and I think Roman Reigns' title run has been one that we're gonna remember for many years to come, right? I don't think we're ever gonna see anything. At least I don't think I'm ever going to see anything like this in my lifetime. Again, I wasn't alive during the Bruno Sammartino days, or the legendary Hulk Hogan days, or even the Bob Backlund days when he was a champion for 3,000 plus days. A lot of these guys, a lot of those OG guys held the title for years. You know what I mean? And it was more common back then than in the modern era. So I can appreciate the fact that they decided to go with something like this, and they just ran with it. And seeing Roman Reigns' development as the champion over the past couple of years has been kind of eye-opening, because we always knew that he was going to be the guy that they handpicked, right, to be champion, and he's been champion prior to this run, right? But those championships that he held prior really have held in comparison to what he's done in the last 2 years. So I have to give, the big dog, the head of the table, the tribal chief, props for holding it down. And especially during a pandemic era where fans were not in the ring, or fans were not at the arenas, things changed. They really had to kind of transition and make things believable. So I think he did a great job becoming the bad guy that he was. Oh, let me stop this before it decides to play another song over here. Okay, it's just going to play it again. Okay, whatever. Anyways, head of the table. And, seeing the transition has been kind of interesting. I've been lucky to see him wrestle as the head of the table a few times since, he's been, in that role. He main evented one of the events that came down here, I think early of I don't remember if it was 2022 or 2021, but they came to one of the arenas down here, and, it was a pretty great crowd that night. And, again, I acknowledge the tribal chief is all I'm going to say. So definitely, if Cody Rhodes manages to, win night 2 of WrestleMania, which, I believe 99% of the, the wrestling community believes, then definitely shout outs to him. But, shout outs to Roman Reigns for again, holding it down the past couple of years. I love it, man.
Yeah, I think the way that it's going to go down, and just one of the things that just kind of came to my head right now with all this talk about it before we close out the live stream was, we talk about run-ins, we talk about different moments where people run in, and so to me, if Jay turns on the bloodline and the Usos lose, I do see that Jimmy and Jay feud. So if I was to think that Jimmy and Solo comes out, Jay comes out to fight his brother and stop him. Mm-hmm. And Solo, he's, overpowering big dude, the enforcer of the bloodline. He fights with, if Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn come out there, which I don't think they will, because they would, off their victory, it wouldn't be something that would, let's put them in the mix. But that's where I think Randy Orton will come in, where Randy will handle Solo, and Jay would handle his brother Jimmy, and stopping the bloodline from interfering, allowing Cody a clean victory. That's where I would see that going if they were to have run-ins. But I don't want them to do that.
Of course.
It's going to take away from the match.
Yeah, no, I think I agree. I think they should probably bar everyone from, interfering in that. But, it's a WrestleMania match, and, stuff always has to happen, especially in main events like that, to make it controversial. But win or lose, I'm ready, man. I am freaking ready for this. I'm gonna order pizza. Actually, probably. I'm gonna be pigging out. I'm gonna be.
Think about it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
That could be a way that Roman retains.
Yeah.
Without people being upset that Cody doesn't take the title that night, is if for some odd reason, kind of like what the Undertaker did to The Rock when The Rock faced Triple H, and the Undertaker returned as the American Badass.
Yep.
And while he meant to back up The Rock, he ended up costing The Rock the title. Kind of like in that essence, that would be like the only way I could see where Roman retains to reach 1,000 days as champion, and Cody not lose all the momentum or have the fans really pissed off about the loss.
Oh man, dude, I'm just there's just too much, man, honestly. and again, like I said, I'm excited because it's gonna go either way. He's either gonna win or he's gonna lose. And I know 99% of the community want Cody Rhodes to win. There are some people that don't want Cody to win, though, right? They do want to see Roman Reigns reach that 1,000-day reign as well. So, but yes, again, my money's on Cody, and I know your money's on Cody. Any final thoughts before we wrap up the stream here tonight?
So for those that stayed throughout this podcast, you are our very first people that stayed from beginning to end. Thank you guys so much. If you guys stayed, I appreciate, Blaze. Thanks for being in here. Ben, I don't know if you heard me say hi earlier, but thank you for coming in as well. Please share this out. As soon as this is done, I'm going to whore it out to every social media I have to get people to catch it.
Same here.
But I think, for WrestleMania, I think for this year, I do like the card. I do like night 1 and night 2, how it's set up. I don't see any moment where I am going to feel like it's just plain Jane. And I just hope that, Vince doesn't do the touch of Vince, because I commend Vince for what he built. He built an empire. It was amazing, but he's just so out of touch with the fan base now. It's like his old methods don't work anymore. Triple H, obviously, and Stephanie were doing a great job, in my opinion, with Vince out of the way. And it still hurts me that Stephanie left the company. So
again, if we'll see what happens, that's another discussion for another podcast, right? The sell of the WWE company or Vince being back in power, right? But again, I'm excited for this, the stat cards for both nights, and again, if you guys are watching the Peacock right now, Rey Mysterio is about to get inducted into the Hall of Fame. So I know, Tito's eager to change the channel and put it on there as well. So
I'm gonna go watch it now. But again, thank you, everybody. We love you very much.
Yes.
Welcome to the Scorpion Deathlock podcast. And
yes, sir.
You'll find more from us. Anyone that wants to jump on, please either DM Mike on Twitter or myself. We'll set up a time to get you on as guest. We would love to have guest panels on with us as well.
We need to get Mill Hustles in the house here. So yeah, guys, we really appreciate the the first time viewers. If you guys were watching in, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. I am going to post up the link in the description for those of you who actually watched all 2 hours, right? To check this out. So that and I'll be promoting that on my YouTube channel as well. So again, guys, you all have a great night. Tito, thank you, sir, for being here this long.
It's my pleasure, man. Thank you. So, I'm going to have a lot of fun with this. So let's go.
All right. Everybody, you have a great night, and I will talk to you a little bit later, Tito. You have a good night, man. Okay.
You too, man.